Nothing But the Truth. Hello, I'm Raj Chengappa of India Today and your host for Nothing But the Truth. This is my weekly X-ray of key issues that matter to you without holding back on the truth. In this episode, we would look at the exclusive Mood of the Nation poll that India Today magazine does every 6 months, biannually. And this month, and this is the time that we bring it out, the latest issues out there. It deals at a very critical time for Prime Minister Modi and the NDA government that's there. And the findings are important in terms of the fact that it gives the direction and the mood of the nation that will not only help the government plan what it has to do in the coming year, but also in terms of what the public mood is. So let me bring in at this time Yashwant Deshmukh, who's the founder of CVoter and who has collaborated with India Today for these polls for many, many decades now. Yashwant,
absolutely. I was, Raj, about to start with this thing saying that, first of all, congratulations to you and India Today team for 50th year. It's a golden jubilee year. It's an institution. It's an important milestone, absolutely important. And it's also important for us because, Raj, this year marks 25th year of CVoters Association with India Today as well.
That's a nice way to bat for yourself.
Yeah. But you know what? 25 years of tracking the public opinion in an institutional basis. I have nothing but to thank Mr. Arun Puri for this, because unless somebody is serious about the data and data tracking, this kind of a long-term study and data line cannot be made, and it's so critical because as in polling industry, in opinion polling, we say that, polling is just, chronicling the history for future.
And we've been doing that for 50 years. You've been doing it for 25 years. But let's get to the findings of this poll.
Absolutely.
In the last Mood of the Nation poll that we did, the Modi government had dropped in terms of numbers. The BJP had fallen to 260, which meant that they didn't have a majority, almost somewhat going back to the 2024 Lok Sabha results where they dropped to 240 and were dependent on their allies to get a simple majority. This poll, of course, brings a surprise, despite the fact that you have global turmoil. There is Trump on the rampage. There is our neighborhood is on fire, absolutely, as we can see, and China is on our back all the time. So you have a trilemma over there of issues. And at the same time, given the fact that the kind of tariffs that Trump has imposed on us, the economy has been under great stress. And yet, when we look at the numbers, the BJP and particularly Prime Minister Modi is doing well. Let's discuss that. The fact is that this Mood of the Nation poll shows that if an election was held at this time, the BJP's numbers would move to 287. That is 15 more that is needed for a simple majority, which is a tremendous sort of push that they've got. And the NDA goes up to 352, which is, one short of what they got in 2019. So this is a kind of a big push for the NDA government and from Mr. Modi. It shows that he has regained his mojo in many senses. The Prime Minister has regained his mojo. And the people have appreciated the fact that despite the crisis, he has led the nation through, in many respects, steadily, with stability, and also seen that the economic growth has happened. So let's look at why are these figures. What is your analysis of this?
Well, Raj, if you look at the numbers over this period, I mean, it's almost like going back to square one. It's like 2019 normal thing is back. When I say normal, it almost starts looking like 2024 was an aberration of sort. Right. And when you look into the 2024 number and the current numbers, you also realize that BJP has gained precisely in those states where it got the shocker in the 2024. Maharashtra, it was a shocker. UP, it was a shocker. Rajasthan, it was a shocker. So all those states, but look at the series of the assembly. Haryana in 24 was a shocker, but look at the series of assembly elections following that shocker. BJP was quick in recalibrating on how what was missing, what was wrong, their relationship with the RSS, the organizational matter, and those kind of things. And all of a sudden you realize that there is something which they have amended way better than what Congress. While on the other hand, what we also feel like that Congress took it for granted that, okay, this is where they have got it 24 and they are going to capitalize on that, and that did not happen. And right now, as you just mentioned, The world is so full of turmoil. So when we will be tracking, not once till 2024 Lok Sabha election happened, the political stability question came on the horizon. It used to come 1%, 2%, less than 5% at best, even during the Manmohan Singh period, the 10 years, political stability was never a question. First time it came in when Modi's number went below the majority thing. So the August 24, the political stability came on the horizon. But then in a year, it also again subsided. I guess that people all of a sudden in this global turmoil and the neighborhood on fire, they are almost kind of acknowledging, you see, these are testing times. These are not normal times. Donald Trump there is nothing normal about Trump. There is nothing normal about Xi Jinping. There is nothing normal about Putin. There is nothing normal. Only thing probably normal is Pakistan.
But I want to drill down a little bit on that in the sense that one of the interesting findings that we had in this particular poll is that when we asked the question, which is the single biggest achievement of the Modi government, in the past the answers would be, as it was in the August 2025 poll, that the number one achievement was rebuilding the Ram temple in Ayodhya. Number two normally was the revocation of Article 370 or infrastructure, depending, they kept switching sides. So the toppers were these big issues that were there, and during COVID, of course, handling of COVID. For the first time in our polls, what you were talking about, Yashwant, is showing up in the sense that political stability is seen as the number one achievement or the single biggest achievement of the Modi government, and therefore fits into the context that you were talking about, which was that there is tremendous turmoil, and here's Prime Minister Modi, who was able to lead the nation through this or navigate through these very turbulent waters and yet take us not only politically secure in terms of stability, but also economically. We've seen the economy doing very well. In the last quarter, the GDP number showed that we were among the fastest growing economies in the world, major economies probably the fastest, and also inflation had come down. So we'd hit that sweet spot, what Sanjay Malhotra, the RBI governor, calls the Goldilocks period, where you have high growth and low inflation. And therefore, you are seeing both an economic stability that is there, and the reward for that is the kind of numbers that are there. Now let's look at the other aspect, which is the very interesting point in this thing, Yashwant, is the fact that when we asked what is the single biggest failure, we came back to the answers that was there earlier. Of course, right on top was the unemployment. This time, of course, inflation in some senses is also right there, up there with it. But there is a variation. Let's discuss that variation.
Yeah, and we discussed it earlier as well, and that number on the unemployment thing has gone down. Surprisingly, even though keeping the fact that when we talk unemployment as a standalone issue, overwhelming majority still believes that it is a very, very serious issue in front of the country. But the overall number seems to have dropped by 10 points. I assume when you asked me to look into this data more carefully, and we kind of dug in on that, and we realized that this has also coincided with the period when a lot of female-oriented schemes and 10,000 and other schemes were launched by various state governments and everything. So and there is a significant drop among the female voters or respondents who are saying unemployment is the number one issue. So I think that economic support or money in the account has somehow taken that kind of stress, lessened the stress, and also doubled up with the fact that inflation got under control. That has taken the sting out of the issue a bit, but that doesn't mean that it has gone out. It is still number one issue. Overwhelming majority of the Indians still say government has to deal with this one. That's an important one for them to mark out. On the other hand, stability, as you said, is marked by not just economic stability, it's also marked by the internal stability and other things. Something which struck me was the very fact that during the vote chori campaign and other campaigns, and when Dhaka happened, a big chunk of intelligentsia, as well as those who are considered close to Rahul Gandhi within his category, started celebrating the Dhaka model, and even in fact praying that when will this Dhaka model come to Delhi? And I want to say it on record. I don't think people of India appreciate anarchy. I absolutely do not think that.
I mean, you're right. The results show that political stability is key, and that's why they're bringing Prime Minister Modi back if an election was held with the kind of numbers. But very, very interestingly, we must also point out, as you had said earlier, that the political, the wins that the BJP and the NDA got in the assembly polls, which was starting from Maharashtra, Haryana that you mentioned, Bihar, Delhi, these were the wins that ensured that the BJP's numbers began to grow in the very states that they had a setback. Yeah. And number two, I think one of the big things is, while the percentage of vote shares that we are talking about has increased only marginally for the NDA as well as for the BJP, the numbers they're getting is almost 28 more.
Exactly.
Which in some senses is validated by the fact that there is a 2% drop in the India Alliance's percentages, and the fact that they have fragmented or perceived to have been fragmented in the intervening years after the 2024 election. So they've looked at the opposition and said, in such a troubled time, can we trust an opposition that is so badly fragmented that it cannot get its act together, cannot win elections? And so that's one of the factors that could have led to the fact that they are not doing well. India's not doing well. It's down to 182 out of 230 that was there earlier.
You are absolutely bang on. And also the wrong set of narratives. I genuinely believe that the 6 to 8 weeks of campaign on SIR or vote chori in Bihar actually deprived Tejasvi Yadav on his campaign on unemployment, which arguably is the biggest candidate. All Rahul Gandhi ji probably achieved by that campaign was sowing seeds of doubt in his own die-hard support base, anti-Modi or anti-BJP, saying that, okay, I did not lose, our party did not lose, we lost because the elections were managed, So the public is now kind of putting up a question mark. People are not doubting the process too much. They are very much supporting Election Commission and hoping. But they absolutely want Election Commission to be absolutely transparent and be absolutely thorough about the things that are done. And they don't want any question mark on the electoral process. Now, that is sacrosanct for them.
Now let us look at Prime Minister Modi's popularity. He is in his 12th year. Right? But yet when we look at the popularity in terms of his performance, it's close to 54% people approve of his performance. When you look at the NDA government, it's 52%. And when you look at it in comparison to who's the best suited to be the Prime Minister, his gap is he's close to 57%. Right. Whereas Rahul Gandhi is down to about 27%. I think Prime Minister Modi is 54%, Rahul Gandhi is 27%. So you've got a 27 percentage point lead. Though, let's give credit to Rahul Gandhi. His numbers have not dropped, it's gone up. Yeah. But Mr. Modi is the overarching supremo that emerges from this poll.
Well, yeah, you're right. And the thing is, it's a 1:2 ratio. When you look into the BJP and Congress vote share, 20%, 40%. You look into Rahul Gandhi and Modi's numbers, 27, 28 versus 54, 55%. Only once in our series of MOT and Raj, after the COVID wave 2, Modi's number came below 50%. So the problem here is that Rahul Gandhi is kind of consolidating his own core support, but while doing so, he is unable to convert the middle of the ground, the swing votes that should be coming, hoping that someday that automatic by default anti-incumbent swing vote will come in. Now, it's a right strategy, but in the wrong field. Because what is happening here, there is no magic of double engine, triple engine.
Right.
You have seen the data so many times. BJP has a huge liability in terms of their chief ministers and their state government. Huge liability. But instead of focusing on the micro level incumbency and where the fight, they have to battle it out, defeat the BJP in the states, and then take it to the national level. They are just trying to invert the pyramid and doing the other way side. That they will hammer down at the national level, bring down Mr. Modi, so the state governments will also...
No, that's a very good point. In fact, let us look in the next, the remaining 5 or 8 minutes that we have, as to what are the big messages that are coming out. For those who want to know the details of the polls, they can pick up the latest India Today magazine. But here we're trying to get into those finer points that are there, which is, what are the 3 or 4 big messages, in your opinion, that this poll brings up?
I think one of the biggest thing which I am getting is that people are acknowledging, have the knowledge. They might not be knowing too much about the global policy and other things, But the news consumption and the information consumption is there, and broadly they are accepting and acknowledging that these are crisis times, the world is not in a normal stage. So whenever there is a crisis, people yearn for a strong leader, decisive leadership. And that is on the question on the stability. People have said they like Modi because it's a strong and decisive leadership. So that's also because of the current turmoil. Second thing, as I said, people do not want Dhaka thing. Anybody who is cheering a Dhaka model is doing great disservice to Rahul Gandhi. Let me see upfront. I know, I cannot take names, but I know many of his
People want
advisors,
stability.
Yeah, they want stability. Number three, when you look into the larger things of governance and everything, people are pointing out where the government is lagging. It's not that people are giving a free blank check to Narendra Modi and BJP. The thing is, people are very much affirmative in any progressive agenda that will bring election commission to answerability, the process getting better, and economic getting better, the question of unemployment with solved. Till the point of time, the opposition starts looking at that and making the things better and counter the government and hold them accountable with a plan. People are not going to switch. However, at the state level, when you look into the strong regional leadership who are coming up with an answer to the BJP, with a plan, with an alternative, people are voting for them. So even in this poll, we realize all the straight regional big leaders are doing well against the BJP.
So the big message is that while the BJP is and the NDA is super strong at the moment, they're not invincible.
No, they are not.
If the opposition plans its strategy well, there are a lot of issues that you've said that we can take up. Whether it is looking at unemployment and actually drilling it down and coming out with numbers. Vote Chori is good. It's given Rahul Gandhi traction, but he needs to broad base the set of issues that he's raising. On the government front, while there is a complete endorsement of much of what it is doing, it is very mixed.
Yeah.
Nuanced. On the economy, they're very clear that the focus has to be on jobs. It's the single biggest issue that is there.
True.
Inflation has to be kept down. The reform process, therefore, they are saying,
absolutely,
we are willing to give you the mandate to go ahead and do the reforms you want to. We are backing you, but you need to do it.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a huge responsibility, I would say. And for the ratings to keep high for 11 years, it's remarkable. But that is also coinciding with the lack of alternatives or the what shall I say, lack of direction in strategy as far as opposition is concerned. Having said that, you are absolutely right. This also puts up huge responsibility on the government, huge answerability on the government that, with this kind of faith, there is no other way but for you to provide answers, to keep on trying. And as we have seen in the past, people are even owning up Mr. Modi's failures.
Right.
Provided he is trying.
That's true.
That's a big, and it's not just about Mr. Modi. If you see successful chief ministers in last 11 years, people are owning up the failures of those chief ministers as well and giving them a second and third, even the opposition chief ministers.
So sincerity, clarity
and
of purpose, and if you make mistakes, but it's in good intention, you're near, it's fine.
Your pardon.
It's your pardon.
Yeah.
But I think if you take a look at the big messages that are coming across from there, which is, look, you started the Reform Express, which they're telling Mr. Modi. They appreciate the fact that whether it is bringing better income into you by lowering the personal income tax slab limits, 12 lakhs and below is your personal income tax, you're not taxed. So that puts money in people's hand. The rationalization of the GST, which is a big thing. And so therefore, prices going down and more money getting into people's hands. And of course, the various welfare schemes that's there, they've appreciated that. But now there's an aspiration Indian that is there. And so Mr. Modi's Reform Express, in many senses, has to move not only at express speed, but probably bullet train speed. To catch up with the Viksit Bharat dream and to fulfill the aspirations. People are saying, we want good jobs. I mean, that is also very clear from that.
And one red flag, I mean, if you'll ask me, one huge red flag in the data, and that has been there for almost 10 years now, is the K-shaped growth.
Right.
Big number of people have been saying again and again, this government is largely working for big businesses rather than the common. This only welfare scheme is what is kind of safeguarding that image, that they are doing something for the poor. But as far as the larger play is concerned, this image that the government is caring more for the big businesses rather than the common man, This is a very dangerous territory, let me tell you. It is something which just by virtue of trustworthiness of Mr. Modi, that government is kind of overpowering or jumping over this hurdle. But this is a dangerous, slippery area. This is a huge red flag, this K-shaped thing. Government has not only to work and reduce this thing, but it has also worked somehow to reduce this perception that this government is not just about providing welfareism and working for big businesses, but also about seriously bridging the gap, increasing the earning power of the society and the lower strata of the society, and probably jobs will always remain a problem, but more and more power to SMEs, the micro entrepreneurs.
Right. I think these are very good points that you've made. I think you've drawn the red lines. I'm out of town, but just to sum up the big findings that the Mood of the Nation poll, India Today's latest Mood of the Nation poll that is out on the stands now, is one, that if an election is held right now, the NDA will come back with a full majority, much more than what it had in 2024, and the BJP by itself will have a majority on its own, which is a very, very big finding. When it comes to the other issues, the personal popularity of Prime Minister Modi, despite being in the 12th year of being Prime Minister, there is no anti-incumbency that is visible. There are, of course, drops in his popularity, but certainly at a time when there's such global crisis and across the world we've seen turmoil, he comes out looking stable, strong, resilient on both the political and economic front. But as Yashwant says, there are a lot of other issues that the government, it cannot be complacent. It needs to get down and act on the economy, bridge this, the K-shaped growth, and make it more inclusive, and get rid of the perception that much of the economic reforms goes to the big business. It has to get more income for these people, and at the same time needs to look at foreign policy, where it's in great turmoil, and they navigate through those very turbulent seas that is currently besetting the world. So there is a lot of big messages that are coming through from this. Good for the BJP and the ruling party. Equally, a lot of message for the opposition and Rahul Gandhi and the India Alliance as to what they should do ahead. Do pick up the latest issue of India Today magazine that has the full, all the results of the Mood of the Nation poll. And thank you very much, Yashwant Deshmukh.
Thank you once again. Thank you, Raj, and thank you, Mr. Puri. I mean, because this is something which is really important and critical for your viewers to understand. Without this kind of patronage and this kind of data journalism, no other way of holding people accountable, Raj.
Thank you. Thank you. And we have been, India Today magazine has pioneered these Mood of the Nation polls and will continue to do so. Thank you for being with me in this episode of Nothing But the Truth. I look forward to having you with me next week. Nothing but the truth.